Hello, I'm Brother Tom. I'm the children's pastor at Benton First Assembly in Benton, Arkansas. And I'm going to be doing a JBQ reading for you today. This will be 10 pointers for kindergarten through second grade and third and fourth grade. These will be alphabetical by the word interrupt. And this is a set I've put together. So let's get started. And we'll start with my first question. Question for 10 points. Approximately how many years did it take to write the Bible? 1,600 years. For 10 points. As described in Hebrews, what was the Ark of the Covenant? The sacred box which contained the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, the gold jar of manna, and Aaron's rod that budded. For 10 points. The account of man's first sin mentioned what two trees? The tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life. For 10 points. Upon what judge did God ask Samuel to pronounce judgment? Eli. For 10 points. Into what country was Joseph sold as a slave? Egypt. For 10 points. These are second word interrupts. For 10 points. After the flood, how did the people rebel against God? By building a tower to reach to heaven. For 10 points. From what mountain did Moses see the promised land? Nebo. For 10 points. From which of the tribes of Israel were the priests chosen? Levi. For 10 points. How are people different from animals? God created people in his own image. For 10 points. How long did David rule as king? 40 years. For 10 points. In which book and chapter of the Bible do we find the first record of the 10 Commandments? Exodus. For 10 points. On what mountain did God give Moses the 10 Commandments? Mount Sinai. For 10 points. What building did Solomon erect for God? The temple of the Lord. For 10 points. What child heard the voice of God speak to him during the night? Samuel. For 10 points. What descendant of Ruth became king of Israel? David. For 10 points. What evidence did the spies bring back to show that Canaan was a good land? They brought fruit from the land. For 10 points. What feast did God institute to commemorate the Israelites' deliverance from Egypt? Passover. From 10 points. What Gentile girl decided to serve God because she loved her mother-in-law Naomi? Ruth. For 10 points. What giant did David kill? Goliath. For 10 points. What new name did God give to Jacob, and what did it mean? Israel, which means he struggles with God. For 10 points. What promise did God make to Moses at the burning bush? That God would deliver the children of Israel out of Egypt. For 10 points. What queen came from a long distance to visit Solomon? The Queen of Sheba. For 10 points. What sin did Aaron and the people of Israel commit at Mount Sinai, making and worshiping the idol of the golden calf? For 10 points. What special meaning did Joseph's dreams have? He'd be a great ruler someday, and his family would bow down to him. For 10 points. What woman tricked Samson into telling her the secret of his strength? Delilah. For 10 points. When did David say life begins? In the womb. For 10 points. Which New Testament book is composed almost entirely of prophecies of the future? Revelation. For 10 points. Which son of Saul was David's best friend? Jonathan. For 10 points. Which two of the 12 spies said the Israelites could capture the land of Canaan? Joshua and Caleb. For 10 points. Who defeated the Midianites with only 300 men? Gideon. For 10 points. Who lived longer than any other person? How long did he live? Methuselah, 969 years. For 10 points. Who protected the spies Joshua sent to Jericho? Rahab. For 10 points. Whose dreams did Joseph interpret while in prison? Pharaoh's baker and butler, or cupbearer. For 10 points. Whose sin caused the defeat at Ai? Achan. All right. These will be third word interrupts. For 10 points. How did Aaron and Hur help Moses gain the victory over the Amalekites? By holding up Moses' hands. For 10 points. How did Moses disobey God when the water came from the rock at Meribah? He struck the rock instead of speaking to it. For 10 points. How did Rahab mark her house so she'd be protected when Jericho was captured? By pasting a scarlet cord in the window. For 10 points. How did sin enter the world? Through the disobedience of Adam and Eve. For 10 points. How many times did the Israelites march around the walls of Jericho? 13. Once each day for 6 days, and 7 times on the 7th day. For 10 points. How many years did the Israelites wander in the wilderness? 40 years. For 10 points. How old was Moses when he died? 120. For 10 points. How old were Abraham and Sarah when Isaac was born? Abraham was 100 and Sarah was 90 years old. For 10 points. To what country did Abraham go in time of famine? Egypt. For 10 points. What did Esau sell to Jacob? His birthright. For 10 points. What did God use to lead the Israelites in the wilderness? A pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. For 10 points. What did Joseph say was the meaning of the king's dream? 7 good years would be followed by 7 years of famine. For 10 points. What did Paul call the first commandment with promise? Honor your father and your mother. For 10 points. What did Solomon asked God to give him when he became king? Wisdom. For 10 points. What does testament mean? Covenant. For 10 points. What happened at Jericho when the children of Israel shouted at Joshua's commands? The walls of Jericho fell down. For 10 points. When the flood came, how long did it rain? 40 days and nights. For 10 points. Where did God appear to Moses out of the burning bush? In the desert near Mount Horeb, or Sinai. For 10 points. Which of David's sons tried to take the kingdom from him? Absalom. For 10 points. Who was Isaac's wife? Rebekah. For 10 points. Who was Joseph's first master in Egypt? Potiphar. For 10 points. Who was Melchizedek? Priest of God and king of Salem. For 10 points. Who was Moses' father-in-law? What was his position? Jethro, priest of Midian. For 10 points. Who wrote many of the Psalms? King David. For 10 points. What man walked with God until God took him to heaven without dying? Enoch. For 10 points. What miracle did God perform for Moses at Rephidim? God brought water from a rock. For 10 points. What miracle occurred when Joshua fought at Gibeon? The sun and the moon stood still. For 10 points. What 2 cities did God destroy with fire because of their great wickedness? Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, that's session 1. You can check back for session 2 of Junior Bible Quiz Study Time. And I'm Brother Tom, and this is signing out on session 1. Thanks for watching.